Hakeem Olufemi Gbajabiamila. God bless you all.
The House notes that gruesome murder of a young lady by the name Kalthum Bahari on Friday, 16 January 2022.
Murder of a Nigerian lady by a Chinese man takes center stage at the House. Members call for thorough investigation.
We're going to do all we can constitutionally and that is in our powers to try and resolve this issue.
And House leadership wades into ASUU lingering strike, promises to profile solutions. Hello, it's time for another fresh package of the legislative program House Ticket, showing on NTA Parliament. Glad to have you join us. My name is Dehelia Mamza. After embarking on the annual summer recess on the 27th of July 2022, the House of Representatives, Federal Republic of Nigeria, reconvened and resumed plenary on 20th September 2022. While the House was on recess, we brought you reports on other engagements of the lawmakers, such as committee meetings, constituency projects, and exclusive interviews, amongst others. In this week's package, we will bring you a report on the resumed plenary for the week. We will also bring you reports on the various engagements of the Speaker and leadership of the House with different stakeholders in a bid to bring an end to the lingering strike action by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU. All of this coming your way after this break. Stay tuned.
The entire purpose of the legislative agenda is to direct our legislative resources and efforts in a coordinated effort to ensure the well-being of the individual in a life of safety and freedom. That is a high ambition, but it's well worth the effort. We have passed landmark legislation to fix our oil and gas industry, reform the police, and reorganize the corporate administration system in our country. We have considered and passed meaningful legislation that impacts all areas of our national life.
Welcome back. We shall start off with the Speaker's remarks at the Chambers before the commencement of plenary on Tuesday, 20th September 2022. Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila in his remarks welcomed members back to the House after a long break, while he called for the need to have a genuine democratic constitution in the country. The Speaker pledged to effect changes to the Constitution that would give full effect to the people's aspirations and help achieve nation's highest ideals. He noted that while insecurity continued to be a scourge across the land, Nigeria recently recorded significant victories against the purveyors of violence and conflict across the country.
In the northeast, northwest, and north central, men and women of our nation's armed forces have neutralized scores of bandits and insurgents, taken out the heads of different cells, destroyed training camps, and significantly disrupted their ability to organize against the peace and security of the Nigerian people. I salute the courage and gallantry of our fighting men and women.
On the current fiscal conditions which necessitated borrowing to finance budgetary expenditures, the Speaker said that the House was concerned about the long-term impact of the burden on the country and its ability to pay what she owed in a responsible and sustainable way.
These questions will be central to our consideration of the 2023 appropriation bill when presented. We will also be mindful of the provisions of our laws, especially the Fiscal Responsibility Act, as it relates to the scope of deficit financing of the budget.
The Speaker expressed hope to receive the 2023 appropriations bill from President Muhammadu Buhari in the first week of October.
We hope to receive the 2023 appropriations bill from the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, in the first week of October. In advance of this, the Senate and House Committees on Finance have begun interactive sessions with the ministries, departments, and agencies of the government on the medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper.
On a final note, Representative Femi Gbajabiamila charged his colleagues to make valuable opportunity to do the best they can to make Nigeria a place of peace, prosperity, justice and freedom for all as the end of the tenure of the 9th Assembly draws closer.
We have very little time left to finish the work we have been called to do in this assembly. There is much left to do, and we cannot turn our attention to those whilst we have pending tasks to deliver. I urge all the chairmen of the standing and ad hoc committees to act promptly on pending bills and motions, conclude the activities of ad hoc committees, and submit their reports for consideration and subsequent action.
That was the Speaker's remarks before plenary commenced properly on that day. Bills, motions and matters of urgent public importance were presented during the week on the floor of the House. Let us have the report as compiled and presented from our studio.
On Tuesday, 20th September 2022, plenary started with communication from President Muhammadu Buhari on the approval of promissory notes to Kebbi and Taraba states for reimbursement pertaining to federal road projects undertaken by them in their respective states, and approval of a promissory note to Yobe State for the execution of 5 federal projects within the state.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I rise to move for a bill.
Moving on to bills, several bills were presented for second reading, among which are a bill for an act to repeal the Oaths Act 2004 and enact the Oaths Bill to take cognizance of technological advancements and make provisions for digital and electronic means of administering oaths and affirmations in Nigeria, and for related matters, sponsored by Representative Ifeanyi Chudi Moma and Representative Ogonna Ozurigbo.
This bill just seeks to take away the process of administering oaths and affirmation from the regular, traditional, and mundane way to see that it conforms with, of course, the 21st century, the ICT-based way.
The bill generated robust debates from several lawmakers.
I believe strongly that the Oaths Act needs to be brought up to speed so it becomes a contemporary legislation that will speak to the realities of our environment.
In my opinion, we are not supposed to repeal this act, but we are rather supposed to amend this act because the inclusion in the whole gamut of the act is so minimal to repeal the act.
More explanation should have been given by the mover of this, crafter of this bill, to convince us, some of us, that are very apprehensive when it comes to issues like this, and taking a cue at what happened when I saw the clip during the Kenyans' taking of office of the Mr. President-elect, who vividly could see what the administrator was trying to give him, and he was busy trying to change, and he changed. He insisted what the other person was insisting on what to be done. These are things that will naturally put fear into some of us that this may be the right time. We are not yet there.
I think I'll be more comfortable with an amendment that takes cognizance of the technology. For me, I don't think it's right to, for right now, we need to balance the two. That's why we have these arguments. If we can if there's a provision for the old one, but then you recognize and incorporate the new technology, I think that's the right thing.
The committee, therefore, is not seized with the power to turn a repeal into, this is just my own personal opinion. So if we're going to amend it, it will be, it's just a long title, really. It will have to be done here.
The bill was voted on, approved for second reading as amended, and referred to the House Committee on Judiciary.
I have a motion on the need to include Igbora.
Moving on to motions, Representative Muraina Ajibola moved a motion on the need to include Igbora in the list of World Heritage Center to United Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO.
About 1.6 million twins are born annually in the world, which translates to a rate of 13.1 twins per 1,000 births. The House also notes
that research reveals that Yoruba land, which includes Nigeria Southwest, parts of the republics of Benin and Togo, is the leading ethnic group across the globe for twins births, with an annual twinning rate of 40.2 twins per 1,000 births. The House is aware that Igbora, a town in the Diocese of Oyo State, in the Southwest, has the highest annual twin rates in the world, with an annual twinning rate of 50 twins per 1,000 births.
Contributions on the motion were given by several lawmakers in which they supported the motion and its importance.
It is self-evident that this motion to declare Igbora a World Heritage Center comes with a lot of merit. The twinning rate is close to 36% above world average. And there is no other remarkable thing that could occasion such a declaration to make research on it very, very necessary.
Following the contributions by lawmakers, the House resolves to urge the federal government of Nigeria to include Igbora town in Oyo State on the tentative list of UNESCO World Heritage Centers, also urge the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization UNESCO to accord Igbora town, being the World Twins capital, the status of World Heritage Center. Mandate the Committees on Information, National Orientation, Ethics and Values, Culture and Tourism, and Legislative Compliance to liaise with the Ministries of Information and National Orientation and Culture and Tourism to ensure compliance. On Wednesday, 20th September 2022, there was also a communication from the President on the submission of the 2023 to 2025 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework and Fiscal Strategy paper to the House of Representatives for due consideration. Still on plenary for Wednesday, we begin with matters of urgent public importance.
On the gruesome murder of Kalthum Bahari,
Representative Hassan Rurum moved a motion on the need to investigate the gruesome murder of a Nigerian lady by a Chinese resident in a community within his constituency in Kano State. Representative Rurum, in leading the debate, stated that the attack and the subsequent murder of the lady were well thought out and deliberate.
the House notes the gruesome murder of a young lady by the name Kalthum Bahari on Friday, 16 January 2022, while in her house at Jambulo Doraibaba in Kano State. Also note that the deceased was a corps member serving in Sokoto State. Equally note that the deceased was allegedly killed by Mr. Gail Gorong at about 9:30 p.m. with a predetermined mission to commit the provocative act.
Several lawmakers contributed and proposed amendments to the motion.
Mr. Speaker, this is just one reported out of severally. I want to agree with the prayers of the mover of this very, very urgent and necessary motion. One, I will want to say, what is the legal status of this man in question? What does he do as a survivor in Nigeria? Is he in a company or is he alone? Mr. Speaker, this issue of torture, torment, Nigerians suffer in the hands of this set of persons is becoming unbecoming, is alarming, is great.
I stand to amend that the Committee on Women Affairs, Women in Parliament should join the Committee on Interior so that we
can join the Committee on Interior.
Yes, sir, to carry out this investigation.
It's very sad that someone was killed. The fact that people are being killed every day does not remove the fact that we are hurt when any life is lost.
Prayers on the motion include the mover of the motion calling on the relevant authorities to ensure justice is meted out. The motion was voted on and adopted as amended.
The ayes have it.
Several bills were also presented for first reading on the day, amongst which are Federal College of Aviation Akure South Ondo State Establishment Bill 2022 HB 2062, sponsored by Representative Mayokun Lawson Alade, National Research Institute for Chemical Technical Establishment Bill 2022 HB 2065, sponsored by Representative Dachung Musa Bagos, Institute of Leadership, Entrepreneurship and Corporate Governance Establishment Bill 2022 HB 2061, sponsored by Representative Taiwo Olukemi Oluga. About 6 bills were consolidated and debated on. A bill for an act to amend the National Youth Service Corps Act 2004 to review upward the accommodation and transport allowances of corps members in line with current realities and for related matters, sponsored by Representative Etta Mbora. A bill for an act to amend the National Youth Service Corps Act 2004 and for related matters, sponsored by Representative Abbas A. Adigun. A bill for an act to amend the National Youth Service Corps Act 2004 and for related matters, sponsored by Representative Ben Roland Ibakpa. A bill for an act to amend the National Youth Service Corps Act 2004 and for related matters, sponsored by Representative Kayode Moshood Akinolu. A bill for an act to amend the National Youth Service Corps Act 2004 and for related matters, sponsored by Representative Oluyemi Adewale Taiwo, and a bill for an act to amend the National Youth Service Corps Act 2004 and for related matters, sponsored by Representative Kayode Moshood Akiolu. The bills were voted on and approved for consolidation, while the Committee on Rules and Business was asked to schedule a date for the commencement of the debate on the general principles of the newly consolidated bill.
It's time we reshuffle the committees.
If you just joined us, the program is House Tickets, a weekly program that educates you on the activities of the House of Representatives, Federal Republic of Nigeria. We've had a review of some of the bills, motions, and matters of urgent public importance that came up in the House during the last 1 week. Time now to bring you the meeting the Speaker of the House had with the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU. For details of these meetings, let's get our first report as compiled and presented from our studio.
Speaker of the House of Representatives, Representative Femi Gbajabiamila, has called on the striking university lecturers and government to find a way out of the ongoing strike action in the interest of Nigerian students. Gbajabiamila made the call on Tuesday, the 20th of September 2022 at a tripartite meeting called at his instance to provide immediate solutions to the 7-month-old strike embarked upon by the university teachers.
We're going to do all we can constitutionally and that is in our powers to try and resolve this issue once and for all, because I believe we are all on the same page on one thing, and that is that our students have to go back to class. I believe we're all agreed on that. The question is how? The question is shifting of grounds and moving closer to the center by all parties.
ASU National President Emmanuel Oshodeke, while responding to the Speaker's call, lamented on what he described as the indifference of government towards the strike. He added that rather than solving the problem, government compounded the situation with its no work, no pay stand, thereby denying lecturers their pay.
Other client, when you people go on strike, you handle the strike. You don't look how to punish the people. You are aware. The first thing the Minister of Labour did was to go and say stop their salaries. Instead of solving the problem, the Minister of Education said we want to use it to teach them a lesson. Teach your academic a lesson. So what am I saying? That please let's look at the issues and resolve the issues and not look at the symptom. Like as we are going to go and we'll give all what has happened and where we are. We have considered.
On his part, the Minister of State for Education, Goodluck Opia, says the strike has become a concern and worry for all stakeholders in the education sector, including the government.
About a week ago, Mr. President granted audience to a committee of pro-chancellors of Nigeria universities who also took similar steps. And Mr. President listened to both sides and has resolved to make further consultations, after which he will also come up with the final government stand on the issues.
Meanwhile, in continuation of the legislative arm's efforts to find solutions to the lingering strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, alongside his deputy, Representative Ahmad Idris Wasi, and other leaders of the House on Thursday, met with the head of service of the Federation, Mrs. Folashade Yemi Eshan, the National Information Technology Development Agency NITDA, the Accountant General of the Federation, the Chairman of the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission, Mr. Ekpo Nta, among other government officials. The meeting was a follow-up to an earlier one the Speaker held with ASU officials on Tuesday, where issues related to the strike were discussed. At Thursday meeting, NITDA told the House leadership that the Integrated Payroll Personnel Information Service (IPPIS), the University Transparency Accountability Solution (UTAS), and the University Peculiar Personnel and Payroll System (U3PS) failed its integrity test on 3 occasions regarding the university payroll.
We tested just one component aspect of it, the payment in the university system. Government now has set up a committee to holistically review all the payment systems in government, including IPPIS, GIFMIS, and TSA, of which a number of, not only NITDA, the ministry is driving that, Salaries, Incomes, and Wages Commission, EFCC, ICPC, the Accountant General's Office, all are part of that committee.
With all that is going on, or going on in the last 7 months, youth and the payment platform is a key component of the disagreement, and you haven't advised government?
Honorable Speaker, sir, we are ready to resume that test. What we have done is we have submitted the report of that test. Government gave us a deadline.
However, the head of service in her explanation said the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy wrote her office following NITDA's observation about the IPPS on the need to take a holistic look at the platform and that a committee was empaneled to carry out the assignment.
What I can say is that the civil service, the core service, we've been able to do both the payroll and the HR component of IPPIS. So now at the touch of a button, we know how many civil servants we have and how many we are paying, how many are in any ministry, and immediately a civil servant clocks 35 years in service or 60 years, automatically the system knocks the person's payment off, because we've been able to merge both the payroll and the human resource component of IPPIS. So it's not just for us to say IPPIS is just a payment platform is wrong.
Also speaking at the meeting, the Acting Accountant General of the Federation, Mr. Silva Okoliabo, said, under no circumstances should employees dictate to their employers how they should be paid, faulting ASU's insistence on UTAS.
I'm not aware anywhere in the world, whether in Nigeria outside of it, where an employee dictates to an employer what system is going to be used to pay the employee. But I think it's also a legitimate demand by ASU that whatever belongs to them is paid on time and accurately.
After hours of deliberations, the Speaker suggested that a further follow-up meeting with ASU officials be held on Thursday this week, which the stakeholders subscribed to. The meeting was therefore adjourned to Thursday this week.
Around on Monday, but on the
Do keep your comments, observations and questions coming in through our platforms showing on your screen. We'll do our best to get our representatives address them accordingly. And on this note, we say, let us do this again next week, same time on this station. Until then, bye for now.